Greetings and welcome to our daily walk through the scriptures for April the 20th. Today's reading saw you finishing out Joshua chapter 22 and reading all of Joshua 23. Luke chapter 20 verses 27 through 47, Psalm 88 14 through 37, and Proverbs chapter 13 verses 17 through 19. We're going to touch a little bit on both Joshua and on Luke today. So first we're going to go into Joshua, and we're going to talk about how, well, we're not very good at giving the benefit of the doubt. When someone does something, it's easy for us to jump to conclusions and forget that we're automatically assuming the worst intentions rather than the best intentions. And we see that here in Joshua chapter 22 when the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh build an altar, if you will. And the rest of the tribes, the other tribes, gather together so that they can go to war against their brothers and sisters. And this is really interesting on a couple fronts. Number one, we need to pay attention to this because in the next book that we read, the book of Judges, this is going to be a very pertinent thing. We're going to see where the true level of loyalty lies with the people of Israel. Does it lie in the nation, or does it lie in something less than? And the answer is it's something less than. It's not even the tribes, though right now tribal loyalty is strong in Joshua. It's going to go even further down and be town against town sometimes in Judges. So anyway, these folks go in and they do something right, though. Even though they're assuming that these 2.5 tribes have made a bad choice, at least they go and have a conversation. And once they do that, they're very much satisfied with the answer. This is a great lesson for us as well. When we see something going on and we wonder what's going on, even if we don't necessarily think the best or assume the best from the person, we need to go have a conversation with them. We need to go visit with them. We need to go make sure that we have a clear understanding of what was going on rather than just making an assumption. Okay, the next thing I want to touch on is the conversation of resurrection and marriage that we find in Luke chapter 20, starting in verse 27. Now, the Sadducees as a group, we kind of lump them in with the Pharisees a lot of times when we talk about Pharisees and Sadducees, but the Sadducees had some differing opinions on some things. And one of those things that they didn't have a same eye on when it came to the Pharisees believed in resurrection. Okay, they believed that at some point there was going to be a resurrection. The Sadducees did not believe that. The Pharisees Sadducees you would say would be like more in times the difference between mainline and evangelical Protestants. This is kind of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They differ on things, or amillennial versus premillennial. Okay, those kind of things. So these Sadducees come to Jesus, and they give him this really ridiculous scenario. But what we get from here, though, is a glimpse of what life is going to be like afterwards. And to be honest with you, there's a bit of a mixed feeling on this, okay? Now, first of all, what Jesus does confirm is that there is a resurrection. So instantly the Sadducees are a little put off because Jesus is saying, hey, there's going to be a resurrection. At some point, there will be resurrection. And as we know later in the New Testament, the book of Revelation makes it very clear that there's going to be a New Testament. But the other part of it is what is heaven like? What's it going to be like after the resurrection? What's it going to be like on the new heaven and the new earth? And Jesus gives us a glimpse. He says, when come in the resurrection from the dead, no one will marry or be given in marriage. They can no longer die. They will be like angels. Now, as someone who's married to an amazing woman, part of this makes me pretty sad. Like, I'm not going to be married anymore to my wife. She might be glad about that, but I'm a little sad, a lot sad. Well, what Jesus is really telling us is that when we actually are resurrected, our love will be complete. And this is a very important statement, and one that I don't know that we can fully wrap our heads around right now. But what it basically means is when you look at love, and if you've been in church long enough, you know that we always talk about how the Greeks have numerous words for love: eros love, phileo love, agape love, yada yada love, all those different kinds of loves. Well, those are all just glimpses of God's perfect love. John tells us that God is love. And so when we understand that God is the is the person that defines perfect love, then we start to understand that there's a completeness to God that we don't have when it comes to love. We do the best we can. As a parent, I love my children. As a husband, I love my wife. As friends to many, I love them as well. I love my parents. So there's a lot of different kinds of love that I experience. But when we are finally on the new heaven and the new earth, we get to experience the complete love, the perfect love of God. We no longer have piecemeal types of love. We get to have the entire package of love. So this isn't a sadness thing. This is a thing to be excited about, that we will finally truly get to experience the perfect, complete love that God himself has. All right, that's it for our conversation today. We'll talk more tomorrow.